Welcome back. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has accused Russian troops of putting objects resembling explosives at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Officials have issued guidance to Ukrainians about how to leave a radiation zone in the case of a nuclear accident. Meanwhile, Russia claims it's Ukrainians who are preparing to attack the plant. President Zelenskyy had this to say last night.
Now we have information from our intelligence that the Russian troops have placed objects resembling explosives on the roof of several power units at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, perhaps to simulate an attack on the plant. Perhaps they have some other scenario. But in any case, the world can't but see, that the only source of danger to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is Russia and no one else.
Well, I'm joined now by our defence and security analyst, Professor Michael Clarke. Michael, great to see you as always. So just update us, what's happened in the last 24 hours in and around the power plant?
Well, quite a lot. The 5th of July has always been quite a big date. For a few weeks now, the Russians have been saying that they wanted to withdraw people from the plant by the 5th of July. That's the Ukrainian civilians who work at the plant, the technicians, as well as some of their forces, and quite a lot has been seen happening. The Ukrainians have been saying for some time that they've seen explosives being taken to the plant and placed there. I mean, there's been some explosives there since last August. And the Ukrainians are now saying that numbers 3 and 4, there they are, numbers 3 and 4, counting from the left to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, those middle two have been placed with explosives at the top of the reactors. And that's very interesting because anyone trying to blow a reactor up will blow it up from the bottom. But if you explode something from the top, that almost certainly is to make it look as if it's incoming artillery rounds that would do it. If that's true, that's what's being said. And last night, or now about 27, 28 hours ago, power to numbers 3 and 4 was cut off. So numbers 1, 2, 5 and 6 are still on main grid, but 3 and 4 have been taken off the grid and are put on auxiliary power only. Now, that suggests something's going to happen to numbers 3 and 4. The Russians have been saying for a long time, and Russian telegram channels are alive with chat in the last day, that the Ukrainians are planning to attack the plant. That's ridiculous, but it's what they're saying. So the whole thing looks as if it's building up at least to the edge of a false flag operation, of a major nuclear accident.
So two questions there. How likely, therefore, it sounds like likely, based on what you just said, is some form of explosion on numbers 3 and 4? And how likely is it that it's a truly damaging nuclear disaster versus something that's just meant to scare people?
Second question first. If it happens, then it will be something akin to Chernobyl of 1986. Because although these plants are all powered down, they're not working, they still have fuel rods in them. The rods have got to be kept cool, and if they're exploded...
Even with the explosives on the top?
Exactly. It would still cause damage, and they will probably overheat, even in their passive state, and so there will be some nuclear fallout, and then it depends on which way the wind is blowing. It might blow over Russia, but equally it might blow over the Western Europe. Now, will they do it? Well, there's been a campaign going for a long time now that the Russians have been talking about this, and what they're saying is if the Ukrainians attack us, and the Ukrainians certainly are pushing from Zaporizhzhia. The Ukrainians own Zaporizhzhia, the city, but Zaporizhzhia power plant is the other side of the river, a little way south, and the Russians have got that. And they're saying if the Ukrainians attack us, and remember, Ukraine has had a news blackout now across Zaporizhzhia, so something is happening. If they attack us, then they will probably shell the plant. The Russians have been saying that for a long time. So they want to frighten everybody, and they've reached the point now of maximum fear. But are they mad enough to do it? Yes, they are.
So interestingly, because following on from what we were discussing yesterday as well, are we seeing from the Ukrainian perspective that attacking or counter-attacking is a lot harder than defending, or at least there are a lot of things that the Russians can be doing that at least distracts attention and makes you think, well, it's better to sit tight because what's on offer here, what's being threatened is so damaging.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, defenders always have an easier time than attackers. Generally speaking, attackers have to have generally 3 times the amount of force of the defenders if the defenders behave normally. And so you've got to concentrate forces at the point of impact. So you've got to have an advantage in the impact point. But equally, the defenders can do lots of things, as the Russians are doing. I mean, they blew the Novokhovka Dam. That created an environmental catastrophe and changed the shape of the battlefield. They've built another dam near Tokmak, and they're flooding the fields to the east of Tokmak, and they will blow that dam that they've created to flood Tokmak if they need to. And this is the sort of thing that defenders will do if they're desperate. It's a scorched earth policy. And the Russians, of course, they believe in scorched earth policies. They do it everywhere else in the world that they've operated.
Michael, as ever, fascinating. Thanks so much.